When you first start programming, one of the most confusing things people throw at you is this: what's the difference between a compiler and an interpreter? Textbooks will usually explain it in technical language that makes you scratch your head. But here's the deal. By the end of this video, you won't just know the difference, you'll understand it so clearly that you could explain it to a 12-year-old or even to your grandma at the dinner table. So let's start with the clean definition. A compiler is a program that takes all of your code and translates the entire thing into machine code before it runs. Once that translation is done, the program executes lightning fast because your computer already has the instructions ready to go. An interpreter, on the other hand, works in real time. It reads your code line by line, translating and running it immediately. That's why compiled languages like C or C++ are super fast, while interpreted languages like Python or JavaScript are easier to work with but slower in execution. But let's simplify this even further. Imagine you wrote a book in Spanish and your friend only understands English. With a compiler, you hire someone to translate the entire book into English before your friend even opens it. When they sit down to read, the story flows smoothly, no pauses, no waiting. With an interpreter, you don't translate the book up front. Instead, you have a translator sitting beside your friend, whispering line by line as they read. They get to start reading immediately, but the process is slower, and if the translator makes a mistake, your friend notices right away. That's the essence of compilers versus interpreters. Here's another angle. Picture yourself hosting a dinner. If you're using a compiler approach, you spend the whole afternoon cooking everything before your guests arrive. When it's time to eat, the food comes out instantly, perfectly timed. The interpreter approach is different. You welcome the guests, then start chopping onions while they're already seated at the table. You serve each dish as it's cooked. It works, they get food, but it's slower, and if you burn something, they'll see it happen in real time. The same thing applies to music. Think of a compiler as recording a studio album. You spend weeks mixing, mastering, and polishing it before anyone hears a note. By the time fans hit play, it's flawless and runs smoothly. An interpreter, on the other hand, is like performing live on stage. The music comes out line by line, you can adjust as you go, but it's not always as clean. Sometimes there's a mistake and the audience catches it immediately. Even traveling works as an analogy. A compiler approach is booking your flights, hotels, and activities months before your trip. Everything is planned, and when you arrive, the journey runs like clockwork. The interpreter approach is grabbing a backpack, buying a one-way ticket, and figuring things out along the way. It's flexible, it works, but it's unpredictable and usually slower. Now let's bring it back to actual programming. Think of the classic Snake game. If Snake was written in a compiled language, the entire game would be translated into machine code before you hit play. That's why it runs smooth, with no lag. Your computer already knows exactly what to do. But if Snake was written in an interpreted language, the computer would be reading each instruction line by line as you're playing. It works fine, but there could be small pauses, and if there's an error, it shows up the moment that line of code is reached. This is why high-performance games, 3D engines, and operating systems often use compiled languages, while quick scripts, websites, or small tools often rely on interpreted ones. Both approaches have their strengths and weaknesses. Compilers give you speed, performance, and safety because errors are caught before the program even runs. But they can be slow up front. Compiling a huge project might take minutes, even hours. Interpreters, on the other hand, let you write code and test it instantly. It's flexible, perfect for beginners, and makes debugging easier. But the downside is slower performance and the fact that errors appear while the program is running, sometimes in the worst possible moment. Beginners often get tripped up here. For example, many think Python is a compiled language just because it produces .pyc files, but that's not true. Python is still an interpreted language. Others assume compiled automatically means better. That's not true either. If you're writing an operating system kernel, yes, you need the raw performance of a compiler. But if you're just building a chatbot or testing ideas quickly, an interpreter gives you way more freedom. And here's another twist. Some languages actually blend the two. Java, for example, compiles into bytecode, then uses the Java virtual machine to interpret it. That way, you get some of the benefits of both approaches. I'll give you a quick story to make it stick. When I first wrote a simple calculator in C++, I had to hit compile, and my laptop fans roared to life. A few seconds later, boom, my program was born, running smooth and fast. Later, I tried Python for the same project. I typed the code, pressed run, and instantly it worked. No compiling, no waiting. That's when it clicked for me. Compilers are like building the entire machine before turning it on. Interpreters are like tinkering with a toy while it's already in your hands. So, the next time someone asks you the difference, here's the short version. A compiler translates everything at once before execution. An interpreter translates line by line as the program runs. Or, in plain English, a compiler is like publishing a finished book. An interpreter is like having a live translator by your side. In the next video, we'll keep digging into programming fundamentals, the kind of stuff that shows up in every single language and that most beginners miss. If this helped you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your coding friends. Trust me, this one concept alone will save them from hours of confusion.